We are the Fit My Lamps family. We are a family. Our hearts are bound.
Good morning, boys and girls. Today my sermonette comes from Daniel 2, which was actually one of my favorite Bible stories, which my dad had told me when I was much younger. The story of King Nebuchadnezzar's dream. So Nebuchadnezzar was the king of Babylon, and at that time, Babylon was a superpower ruling over the world. And one of the kingdoms that Babylon had conquered was Israel. And some of the Israelites that were in slavery was Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And so one night, when King Nebuchadnezzar was sleeping on his comfy bed, he had a strange dream. So strange that when he woke up, he totally forgot the dream. So he sent for his magicians and wise men so they can tell him what his dream was and meant. So when his wise men came, they were very excited, and they said, "Oh, great King Nebuchadnezzar, tell us your dreams that we may interpret it." And King Nebuchadnezzar responded and said, "Unfortunately, I don't remember my dream. So tell me my dream, so I will believe that you have the correct interpretation." So unfortunately, the wise men weren't so wise after all and couldn't tell the king his dream or the interpretation. And so the king was very angry because he was paying wise men who weren't even actually doing their job. And he made a declaration that on a specific day, he was going to kill the wise men and their families. And so when this news came to Daniel, he said to himself, "Why is the king so quick to act?" and asked to be sent to the king. And so when he got to the king, he said, "Oh, great King Nebuchadnezzar, please give me time so I can pray to the King of Heaven and he can tell me your dream and the interpretation." And so the king did exactly as Daniel said. And when Daniel got home, he asked for his friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, to pray with him and for God to tell him the secret. And so that night, God had shown Daniel the king's dream and the interpretation in the form of a vision. Boys and girls, in this story kind of shows you here that God answers prayers. Whatever you might be going through, if you're sad, if you're worried about a friend or your parents, just pray. Why? Because God answers prayers. Back to the story. So when Daniel woke up, he was immediately asked to be sent to the king. And when he was, the king asked Daniel, "Are you here to tell me my dream?" And Daniel said, "Yes." So first he started with the Lord of Heaven reveals secrets. This is what you saw in your dream. In your dream, you saw a big statue of man. The head was made out of gold. The arms and chest were made out of silver. The belly was made out of bronze. The legs of iron, and the feet a mixture of iron and clay. And while you were looking at the statue in amazement, you saw a rock that was not man-carved that came and destroyed the feet of the statue. And the north wind came and blew the rest of the pieces that collapsed away. And over time, the stone that hit the feet of the statue grew bigger and bigger and bigger until it covered the whole earth. So King Nebuchadnezzar was getting excited. I could visualize King Nebuchadnezzar sitting at the edge of his chair ready to hear the interpretation because he knew that this was his dream and he remembered it as soon as Daniel started talking. So Daniel started with the interpretation. First, he said, "O great King Nebuchadnezzar, the Lord of Heaven reveals secrets." In this dream, the Lord of Heaven was trying to show you all of the rulers that were going to take place from your time all the way to the end of the world. Boys and girls, isn't that amazing? All of the rulers in just one dream. So Daniel started the interpretation. The head of gold represented Babylon. And gold is a very valuable element. So valuable that it's even more valuable than all of the other elements. And so why was Babylon gold? Well, because Babylon was a very great kingdom, and any other kingdom that was going to come after Babylon might be great, but not as great as Babylon. So the arms and chest of silver was Medo-Persia. The belly of bronze was Greece. The legs of iron was Rome. Rome. That sounds familiar. Oh yes, when baby Jesus was born. Roman Empire was ruling over the world. Remember Pilate, who washed his hands because he didn't want anything to do with Jesus, or Herod, or King Herod, who killed innocent Nazareth children just trying to kill baby Jesus. And the feet that were a mixture of iron and clay represented the divided kingdoms of Europe. And just like iron and clay never mix, the divided kingdoms of Europe will never mix. So will never come together as one kingdom. Sorry. And so the stone that came and hit the feet of the statue represents Jesus's kingdom coming to earth. So, boys and girls, one day when the last song has been sung and the last earth rulers have reigned this earth, you will see Jesus coming in golden chariots coming, and when he comes down, you will know that he is coming to restore order and to restore what was there before sin has entered this world. In fact, there's a memory verse found in Revelations 1 verse 7 that states, "Look, he's coming with the clouds, and every eye will see him, and those who pierce him, and all the peoples on earth will mourn because of him." What a great verse. And this is also trying to say that, look at the economy, look at all of the rulers here. People living in poverty, bullies at school, sadness, sicknesses like the coronavirus. Boys and girls, I have good news for you. Tinevimbo Noelle Ganduri, which means we should have hope in the second coming of Christ. Because when Christ comes, he will come and restore order, that like it was before sin had entered the Garden of Eden. Boys and girls, thank you for listening to my sermon. Have a wonderful day.
Happiness is to know the Savior living a life within His favor, having a change in my behavior. Happiness is the Lord.
Happiness is a new creation Jesus sent me. In close relation, having a part in His salvation. Happiness is the Lord. True joy is mine, no matter the tear of start. I found a secret, is Jesus in my heart. Happiness is to be forgiven, living a life that's other living, taking a trip that is to heaven. Happiness is the Lord. Happiness is a new creation, Jesus and me, in close relation, having a part in His salvation. Happiness is the Lord. Happiness is to be forgiven, living a life that's where the living, taking a trip that is to heaven. Happiness is the Lord. True joy is mine, no matter the tear of start. I found a secret, is Jesus in my heart. Happiness is to be forgiven, living a life that's where the living, taking a trip that is to heaven. Happiness is the Lord. Happiness is the Lord. Happiness is the Lord.
We are the Fit My Lamps family. We are a family. Our hearts are bound together in love.